Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into some really profound ancient wisdom.
That's right.
We're exploring teachings from the WaheguruJi tradition,
Yeah.
guided by insights from Palji, and specifically looking at verses from Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji in Waheguru. And our mission really is to pull out the key ideas on understanding, well, divine will and how to live a more meaningful life.
And what's so interesting, I think, is how concise these verses are, yet they offer this practical roadmap.
A roadmap. How so?
Well, not just for, spiritual ideas, but for actually navigating daily life. It gives a really different perspective on things, on finding inner peace.
Okay, sounds good. So let's unpack that, maybe starting with that core concept you mentioned, Hukam, a divine command.
Yes, exactly. Hukam.
The verses say again and again, as is the Hukam of your command, so do things happen. That feels significant. It really highlights this idea of a universal will behind everything.
It does. It's central.
It sounds like almost like complete surrender. What's your take? Does that feel, I don't know, freeing or maybe a bit overwhelming?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because it's easy to mistake it for just like passive resignation, isn't it?
Right.
But the verses then add something crucial. Those who recognize the Lord's command never weep.
Never weep. Okay.
So that points towards, a profound freedom from sorrow. It's not about controlling what happens out there. It's about shifting your internal state. Recognizing that, well, even things that seem like setbacks are part of a bigger picture unfolding.
So acceptance changes your perspective on challenges.
Precisely. Imagine the mental energy you'd save, moving away from that constant reactive anxiety towards a more, proactive inner peace, just by accepting the flow.
That's a really powerful reframe. Okay, so if accepting this hukam deals with our relationship to the world outside, what about the internal stuff, the battles inside? The teachings seem pretty direct about that too.
Oh, absolutely direct. There's that call to take away my sexual desire, anger, pride, greed, emotional attachment, and evil desires. It's very explicit.
Yeah.
And it's immediately contrasted with this quite strong critique of only chasing worldly things.
Right, the line about eating and wearing things out.
Exactly. By eating and eating, the mouth is worn out. By wearing clothes, the limbs grow weary. It's not just saying these things are bad.
It's more practical.
It's a practical observation, really. Think about how much we sort of consume. Experiences, information, stuff, endless scrolling, binge watching.
Selling things.
Right. And often you just feel kind of hollow afterwards,
Yeah, it's a stark image.
Yeah.
It makes you think of that feeling like after a huge meal where the pleasure just fades into exhaustion. And the verses seem to be saying that trying to fill a spiritual hole with material stuff is, well, it's like that, but on a much deeper level, a marathon that just leaves you tired.
Perfectly put. And it builds to that very blunt conclusion. Oh, Nanak, cursed are the lives of those who are not attuned to the love of the true Lord.
Cursed. That's strong language.
It is. But it clarifies the point. It's not really about denying pleasure itself, but about where your fundamental energy, your true affection, is actually directed.
Okay, so it's about reorienting your deepest desires.
Exactly. But crucially, it's not just about subtraction. It's not a message of, bleak self-denial. Because right after that,
There's the solution.
There's the antidote, a really powerful path to transformation. The text declares, with the love of your name, I wash away my evil-mindedness.
Oh, okay. So love is the cleanser.
Yes. And this love, it's attained how? By continually meditating on you, O Formless Lord. And the result, it dispels doubts and fears completely.
So that's the shift from that internal struggle and exhaustion we talked about to peace. So what's the ultimate outcome then for someone who finds this love, this connection?
Well, the verses state that those truly attuned to your love shall not be trapped in reincarnation.
Meaning freedom from the cycle.
Freedom from that cycle of worldly attachments, desire, and rebirth. Ultimate spiritual liberation. And maybe even more profoundly.
Yes.
Inwardly and outwardly. They behold the one Lord with their eyes. They see the divine unity in everything.
Well, everywhere.
Everywhere. The ultimate blessing described as the gift of the name. But it's not just a gift received. It's woven into the fabric of their minds.
Woven in, like it becomes part of you.
Exactly. So thinking about what this means for you, the listener, it's about a fundamental shift, a reorientation towards inner peace, yes, but also towards this clear, unified perception, seeing the sacred in the everyday.
Okay, so we've really unpacked quite a perspective here from these ancient teachings today.
We have.
Finding peace by accepting a kind of divine order, moving beyond just fleeting material things, and discovering this deep fulfillment through, well, inner devotion and connection.
Which really leaves us with a question for you to think about. If true freedom, real insight, comes from aligning your inner self with this greater universal flow, what might it actually look like, feel like in your own life to truly weave that sense of profound purpose and connection into the very fabric of your mind?
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We cut through the noise to get you truly well informed. Today we're taking a fascinating plunge into a really compelling story. It's about leadership. It's about transformation. Our mission really is to explore how profound personal adversity can forge a unique kind of leader. And we're looking at the incredible case of Singaporean presidential candidate Harminder Pal Singh.
That's right. And the sources we've got, they give us a pretty detailed look at his journey, especially after a significant personal event. This deep dive is going to connect his experience to broader ideas, resilience, governance, even drawing on some spiritual wisdom. We're really aiming to uncover some maybe surprising insights into what truly prepares someone for leading a nation through its challenges.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then. It starts with a truly pivotal event in his life. Harminder Pal Singh, also known as Palji, that's an honorific, used for respect, he underwent a leg amputation January 16th, 2025. But here's the thing. Our sources, they don't frame this simply as a setback. They call it a crucible, something that fundamentally reshaped his whole approach to leadership. So how exactly do they describe that change?
Yeah, it's fascinating. The experience is highlighted as showing qualities like command over comfort. The core idea is maintaining a cold, alert, detached mind. That allows for decisive action in a crisis. Instead of just reacting emotionally, it's not just about being stoic. It's the ability to make really tough, objective calls under immense pressure. Think financial crises, pandemics, that sort of thing, without personal feelings getting in the way.
Okay, command over comfort.
And there's also precision over emotion, which is kind of related, separating the feeling from the action. So interpreting pain not as something that breaks you, but maybe as a catalyst, something that forces growth. This aligns quite deeply with the spiritual teaching of Hukam from Sikh tradition, which really emphasizes accepting divine will, finding strength by sort of surrendering to a higher purpose. It's about understanding you can't control everything, but you can control your own precise, principled actions, walking in the way of his will.
That sounds like a really profound internal shift. But how do the sources suggest this translates outward? I mean, how do these deeply personal lessons become objective, effective leadership for a whole nation with all its diverse needs? This idea of redefining resilience, rewriting your story from loss to triumph, that feels bigger than just personal. It seems like a vital trait for a leader trying to inspire a country guided through its own obstacles. The sources mention it embodies the scripture that devotees are forever in bliss. How does that fit?
Well, if you connect it to the bigger picture, it really illustrates this principle. Kill attachment, build inner power. The concept suggests that detachment from external things even, say physical completeness, helps you make unbiased choices, principled choices for the nation. It fosters what's called an unbreakable mind, one that accepts, adapts, acts. It refuses to be, conquered by chaos or external pressures. So for a leader, this implies decisions are made for the collective good, not weighed down by personal wants or vulnerabilities.
Right. So we have this profound personal transformation, this inner strength. But what about the more traditional qualifications? What do the sources tell us there? How do they link this inner fortitude to his actual capabilities for governing?
That's a really important point. What about the practicalities, especially, say, the financial side of leading a country? Our sources get into his financial acumen. They specifically mention the $500 million shareholder equity requirement for presidential candidates in Singapore, and he apparently meets that.
Yes, the sources indicate he does.
Okay. And his track record supports this. He's described as a successful entrepreneur, CEO, founder of multiple startups, plus over 30 years in corporate leadership. Big names mentioned, like Prudential, AIA. His academic background is serious too. A PhD candidate, a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from NTU Nanyang Technological University. And, interestingly, expertise in the top 10 trends of the next decade. Things like AI, blockchain, fintech. That definitely positions him, at least on paper, to guide Singapore through what's coming next.
And it's not just the business and academic side. His public service record is pretty extensive, too. He's been a 4-time candidate for the SDA party. That's the Singapore Democratic Alliance. For Pasir Ris Punggol Changi GRC, that's a group representation constituency, common in Singapore in 2011, 2015, 2020, and again in 2025. He's also held leadership roles like president of the NTU Student Union way back and vice president of Sikh Suak Singapore. And he serves as an international interfaith ambassador for universityofsikhism.com. So a broad commitment there.
Exactly. And all this seems to build towards his stated vision, which the sources quote as to raise Singapore spiritually, socially, and economically. The narrative connects it all, transforming pain into precision, with the idea that every setback fuels our collective rise.
So this deep dive, it really shows how an intensely personal journey, arguably a traumatic one, can directly shape a leader's capacity. Blending that deep inner strength with very practical outward expertise, it certainly makes you think about leadership in maybe a new way.
It does indeed. And it leaves you with a question, perhaps. What does it truly mean for a leader to be forged in adversity? And how might that actually impact a nation's own ability to face its challenges? Something to consider. The power of turning personal pain into a collective strength, a shared vision.